Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am coming back to you after a bit of a hiatus that was not intentional, but my daughter's birthday party kind of took over my life there for a little bit, getting our house kind of put together so that we could throw her a 4th birthday party, which went really well. I thought that we could chat a little bit while I worked in my collage book here. That's a lot of the work that I've been posting, is different types of mixed media collage and things like that. And so I thought you guys might like to see that process. And I'm gonna chat a little bit about like where I'm at artistically and personally, spiritually, because, you know, I kind of go over the basis of all of those things in my channel and in my work. These collage pieces are a lot more fun and minimal than I have done, and I actually made it out of plain white paper that I ripped out of a sketchbook. Just because I had a lot of sketchbooks with perforated pages, and usually those aren't my favorite. Although right now I'm kind of coming around to the fact that those might be the best thing to use, because it'll make it easier to scan things in if I want to work on them electronically, or even just to take pictures. Yeah, see, I've been really challenging myself to just play with empty space and to play with the shapes that the pages and the colors make. So this is a book that I made. I don't remember when, to be honest. I've got a few of these little books that I'm going through. So it was made out of it's my favorite method of making journals. It's the, you use a paper bag to make the cover. So, I am just going to rip and talk, I guess. That's pretty much what I do. I don't do a lot of like planning. If I had to choose like how to label myself, it would be an intuitive collage maker or collage artist. I think it's important to note that there are definitely, like, when you're not doing certain, I don't know, I could see the benefit of like making more of a plan if you were doing something with like full images or of that nature. But since I work mainly with like this, it doesn't seem to really concern me to play around and like plan things out first. We just kind of go with the flow. And on like a spiritual level, I found that the flow state I enter when I do these types of collages is invaluable. I would say it is right up there with like meditation, as far as like being something that nourishes me, something that helps me feel connected. And sometimes I work on both pages at the same time. Sometimes I work on one page at a time until it's complete. I try not to, I found that I try to impose a lot of rules on myself that are unnecessary. And I know I've talked about this before, but I think that that is wildly unhelpful in a creative practice. And if you've read my Substack, I do a tarot weekly reading for collective. If you've read my Substack, it kind of seems like that would go against what my message was for this week, but let me explain. I have this page from like a flower gardening magazine, so we're gonna play around here. I think that in my message, I talked about how imposing boundaries or limits on yourself, especially in like in a creative context, can be helpful, because often we will go to the same patterns or methodologies over and over and over again without branching out of our comfort zone. So I think that there is benefit, like in my message that I provided on Substack, I think there's a benefit to imposing a limit on yourself, or setting rules or boundaries on your creative practice, for example, and then you are pushing yourself to do something within those confines, right? So it's not that you can just autopilot through solving a problem or being creative. You have to really think about it. Here we go. And I think that that is interesting. Now, what I meant when I said earlier that I impose a lot of limits and like weird rules on myself, it's that often I will try to say like, I'm only going to do collage from now on because that's what makes me happiest. And as soon as I say that, I turn around and I get inspired by one of the incredible artists I've connected with online when they like do like a more scrapbooking type art journal, or I get excited by somebody's stitching project that they're sharing, or I get it's something like that. Like I find myself kind of like jumping around to wherever the inspiration is. And I wrote a little bit about this in my caption today, although that was a little bit vague because I don't like to overshare there. But I find myself inspired by different things on different days. Some days I'm really drawn to my drawing practice. And even in my drawing practice, some days I'm into drawing with graphite and like really trying to get like really realistic images. And other days I'm painting with watercolors and it's all about like really childlike illustration drawings. And, then another day I'm using pastels and it's all like really symbolic, like esoteric type stuff. So just in my drawing practice alone, those are 3 different types of ways I like to show up creatively. But in my brain, I'm telling myself I can't do that. And then I feel guilty because I feel like I've gone back on what I told myself I was going to do. And I destroy my sense of self-trust because I'm constantly going through the motions of like saying in my head that I'm going to do this or I'm going to do this. And then when I inevitably don't do this, which is not a bad thing, it ends up making it sound like, well, there I go again. Ricky can't keep her attention on one thing. Ricky can't commit to anything. So then I constantly have this proof, logically I know it's not proof that like I can't follow through on things, because I've proven to myself I can follow through on things. But then like I also constantly have these like quote unquote promises that I've made to myself that I have broken, and that I've things that I've never changed. And so then it's like I have all of this evidence like, oh well, actually you can't be trusted to take care of yourself and do what's good for yourself, because you said you were going to do this and then you decided to go over here and do this, even though you've already got something like collaging or whatever it is. It just like it creates a lot of extra drama and noise in my head. So these are these pages. I think I'm done with them right now. I'm gonna flip to a new spread. But it creates a lot of extra noise and drama. It makes it feel like I constantly have to be pledging my time and attention to one thing and one thing only. And so I'm in a constant state of trying to practice reminding myself when I start to go all in on something and the thoughts start of like, this is it, this is my thing, this is what I'm gonna do. I have to kind of like dial it back and talk myself through it. A little bit of this is like the ADHD and like the issues I have with like follow through and you know, self-trust and showing up for myself really link back into like my sobriety and some of the issues that I dealt with that felt like next to impossible, because like there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to do even when I was like a functioning alcoholic. Like I wanted to learn how to crochet. I wanted to start an Etsy shop. Like that was one of my things. I always thought like if I could just, like I was the person who was good at school. Then I went to college and turns out I'm not that good at school, or that I wasn't that good at school in that context. And so I was trying to find some way else that I could like surprise everybody and be like, hey, everything's okay. Like there's nothing actually quote unquote wrong with me. You know, I just needed to find my way to show up, and my ways to show up is like as an artist and making money that way. And then, you know, I'll have a job and then I can prove that everything turned out the way it was supposed to, and everything, you know, maybe I'm not actually a bad person after all. And like, obviously, I've done a lot of work in sobriety and with my mental health to know that I'm not a bad person. But there's that voice in my head that doesn't necessarily say it, but there's that constant urge. Oh, that kind of matches my fingernail polish. There's this constant urge like inside of me to like find a way to prove to everyone else and, you know, my parents and family members and those people who felt let down and like disappointed by some of the things that happened, especially during the course of my addiction, my active addiction. And there's this overwhelming urge to like prove myself, to prove that like everything isn't ruined, which it's not. Like my life is amazing. I'm very lucky. I'm like incredibly lucky. And so it's this like weird tension inside of my brain and my body, because a lot of this shows up like as emotions, right? It's this weird tension to constantly be thinking about like knowing that I'm enough and knowing that like my life is good and being grateful for what I have. But then there's also this part of me that's like, go, 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 prove more, do more, show that you're worth all of the things that everybody has said that you're not worth, or that you maybe have felt they thought you weren't worth, because no one's really ever said anything to that extent to me. A lot of this is internal, right? It's interesting because I'm saying a lot of this, and some of this is stuff that I haven't even written in my journal, like the realization. So I feel like talking it out is actually quite helpful. So good for you guys. You get to be front row seat to, I guess, my self-therapy session. That was not really part of the plan. So like one of the things that I'm doing is that showing up for my creative practice is one of the ways that I can continue to also build that self-trust, even though that inner dialogue and that tension is going on in the background. That really helps me. I want to do an updated writer's diary episode on my channel if you guys are interested, but I am like something like over 400 days into writing morning pages from the artist's way. And I would really like to do an update on that, because I think the last update I did was like 3 months. And now it's been like, I'm on like day 436, something like that. It's wild how fast it goes. And so I want to do an update. I know before I was doing, I think it's the book by Melody Beattie, How to Get Miracles in 40 Days, where the book, and I've talked about it before, how you make a gratitude list, but it's like a gratitude list for things that are actually like stressing you out, or things that maybe you're not really grateful for. And given how my mental health struggles in the wintertime, and, you know, the fact that the world is a difficult place to be in, that practice has not been as nourishing. I usually do it after my morning pages. I make that gratitude list. And so this morning, you know, it's one of those things that I've committed to, and it's like, well, I have to keep doing it. I've told everybody about it. I've experienced good things from it. So I have to keep doing it. And this morning I was like, you know what if I just like release myself from this self-imposed restriction, and instead of making myself do something that is not being very helpful to me right now in this moment, what if I just release myself from that commitment and know that in the future, if I need to return to it, it is there. It is just another tool in my arsenal, and I can return to it that way. I have actually been feeling pulled to make like actual gratitude lists, not ones that are just about like the things that I'm not grateful for, or the things that are negatively impacting me. There's just a lot of negative things in the world. And I did experience a lot of miracles from that practice, and it is something that I could see myself potentially returning to. But I'm granting myself grace right now to admit that it's time to put that particular practice aside and move into a space of like more gratitude, more presence. And I think that a good way to do that is just by making like actual gratitude lists. I've not been writing in my journals as much as I would like, so I am hoping that like I can engage in more like list making maybe, and that will help me. I want my creativity and like the activities that I do to feel like they don't have to adhere to my rules or anyone else's rules, because that's not what it's here for. Ultimately, my creativity is here for my mental health and for my spiritual practice. I connect to the sacred. I slip into a flow state, and all of a sudden, you know, I make this really fun art, and I feel better, and it feels like I've meditated. And there's just something like so incredibly awesome about that like the extra drama that my head has created has gotten and has kept me like away from this sometimes. Like it just, yeah. So all of that blabbering to say that I am trying to like move into a new headspace of like being more flexible with my practice in ways that feel better, if that makes sense. Look at these little fish dudes. I think they're catfish. I don't know what book it's from, to be honest, but I feel like they want to go right there. What do you think? Anyways, this turned into like a really hardcore, rambly, like here's all my emotional baggage type of YouTube video, and that was not my intent, but here we are. Maybe that's why I subconsciously was avoiding making a video for so long. I don't know. Like I said, life gets busy. You know, I enjoy making YouTube videos. It allows me to show up in a way where I feel like I can talk and explain things better and more succinctly than I can when I like write a Substack essay, even though I'm a writer and I'm good at writing and I like to write. Sometimes like the talking and just letting things come, it feels more natural and organic. Like stuff came through today as I was making these collages that it felt like it was almost like something was coming through me instead of like, you know, my total awareness of it. So I think these pages are done. So the other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to you guys about my Moleskine Expanded and my 100-day project. Since we are practicing like setting things down that aren't serving us, I think I need to zoom this out a little bit. Sorry if that's shaking. So I am like thrilled with this notebook, but at the same time, I find myself working in it like less and less. Hang on a second. And so I think it's time to tuck it away, and maybe I'll get it back out. I don't think I'll be getting another one for a while. I actually was going to order one and I decided not to. I started out writing a lot about it, writing a lot in it, and putting things in here. And then I just stopped doing it, and it's so frustrating when that happens because I'm writing and I'm collaging and I'm taping stuff in there, and then all of a sudden it stops. And the only thing I can say is that if it's possible, I think it got too chunky. That's it. I think it got too chunky. It wasn't as fun to write in. It wasn't very like easy to carry around. So I put a lot of fun things in here. Yes, I put some of I've been doing a lot more fiber art work lately, which I think I'm gonna actually start doing like crochet and knitting videos, just where I like chat with you guys and share what projects I'm working on. And I wanted to try clipping some stuff in, so I actually need to pull this stuff out. It's like notes for books to read, sketches that I did that I liked. Lesson plans for Art for a Spell. So if you guys are interested to sign up in that community created by Megan and the Moon, definitely head out. Definitely check out Art for a Spell. Anyways, yeah, I think before I put it up, I need to get this out of here. So I've got some blank pages in the middle, and then back here. So like I was excited about like this page, and then like it got to the point where I didn't even get to write with this image that I really loved, because like it doesn't feel good to write in this book. It's like too clunky. The pages aren't working. I don't know if I get a Moleskine in the future, it might just need to be like not used for collage, to be honest. So then it also, like my 100-day project was going to be in here, and I got pretty far in it. And I will say, like, there's a lot of days where I like worked in batches, and I don't think that's the point of a 100-day project. I think it's to show up every day. And the thing is that I do show up and make art every day. I don't think the past 2 years, I don't think I haven't done something like creative. And I love the idea of the 100-day project. And I really wanted to create a body of work that like stood on its own. And I decided it needed to be in this notebook because that's where my head was at the time. And now I'm just not into it. So, I don't know. I'll show you guys like what the last day is that I'm going to say is done, and it'll be done because it's been a few days since I've even picked this notebook up. It just needs to go on a shelf. Every time I look at it, it causes me to feel guilt for not working in it. And like, that is not the point. You can see a lot of the collages became minimal here too, but I do like that I worked so much that I've been able to like really expand how I like layer things and put them together. So there. No, wait. 61. I made it 61 days. And to be honest, that's enough for me. I'll probably try to do a 100-day project again in the future. I'm sure I'll convince myself it's a good idea. I like it, but it's not something that is helpful for me at this point. And I am okay with stepping away from it because I know that I'm still going to be collaging every day. It's just not going to be in this book, and it's not going to be as a part of this specific project. And that's it. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this like super chatty, fun little practice video where I shared collage with you and talked to you about some pretty emotional stuff for me. I did create a zine for the Art for a Spell community. It's called, I think it's called Sober Living or Living Sober. If you are somebody who's sober curious and you're interested in getting that zine, head over and sign up for Art for a Spell. It is up there for free, or, you know, you can always DM me on Instagram and I will send it to you. That's not something that I'm ever going to require people to pay me for. I can send you the digital copy, and I think I've got some extra print copies if that works better for you. That's not something I would ever keep away from people. I hope that you guys have a nourishing week. I hope that you guys do something creative today, and leave a comment and tell me about some of the ways your inner drama gets in the way of your practice. All right, have a good day. Bye.